Hi. Hello, everyone. It's Shannon Port, and it's July 22nd, and I just had a frustrating experience trying to put this up as a live stream on YouTube, and so I thank all of you that showed up for the live stream. There were technical difficulties, and I think it's internet related because I also went and tried to do a Facebook Live, and I wasn't able to. So I'm recording this video as a Zoom video, and I will upload it. But I wanted to do the video today. For those of you who came, you know that the topic is in honor of Mary Magdalene and the solar feminine codes. Today is July 22nd, and it's her feast day. And so it's a really powerful day to do this video. And so I'm just going to make a shorter Zoom video and upload it. And so that being said, it's good to be here like this. It's been a while since I've been here. So I also plan to talk a little bit about where I've been. If you're new to the channel, my name is Shannon Port, and I work with the Divine Feminine Wisdom Teachings. I work with Divine Feminine Astrology and the Solar Feminine Activation Codes. We do all kinds of work, and I've just started a monthly report called the Goddess Report. And so you can find me on Instagram at Art of the Feminine. It's Shannon Port, but it's under Art of the Feminine, and I'm just getting more active there, and Facebook Art of the Feminine as well. And the other thing is that I realized for a few channels that I'm subscribed to, I had not hit the bell, and it really makes a difference. If you don't hit the gray bell, you don't get the notifications when there's new videos and live. So make sure to do that if you're interested. And so we will, I want to go back. It's been since May 1st, I believe, or maybe just the end of April since I was here on this channel. And a lot has happened in the world. We were in the pandemic. We were already really seeing things go into a very serious situation. With everything that's happening, and I'm in the US, and so the things that we could have not even imagined being our reality only a few months ago, the world changed very quickly. And then in the time that I've been away, beginning at the end of May, we've had the riots, and the world has just changed in profound ways. And so we're going to address the riots too, and the racial unrest, and some of the things that are happening here in the US. I'll go back and tell you about the Goddess Report. So I started the Goddess Report because I had about 3 days where, this was in April, where I couldn't sleep. I was up all night, and there was just energy. You know, I work with these energies because it's what I do. But there was a profound energy, and it was just a presence. It was like something, because I work in these realms all the time, it was something different. It was something that wouldn't let me off the hook. And it was like I felt a shift was coming. It's looking back now in April, I felt something big coming, but I had no idea just how big it would be. So that's when I received that I would be kind of shifting the work on this channel to the Goddess Report, and naming it the Goddess Report specifically as a stream for this wisdom in the Divine Feminine. And I was just shown that now is the time to do it, even that name was really sacred, the Goddess Report. And at first I thought it was kind of funny. I was asking my sister about it, and I was like, she's like, it sounds kind of mainstream, because I often have, video titles that are a little more metaphysical, but that was the name that came. And I was shown that this would be a stream, as there are many out there, but that it would become more and more potent with the voice of the goddess, meaning the voice of the feminine on the planet at this time, and the voice of the feminine in humanity. And so what that means is that we're having an update. We're being upgraded. Our technology, our goddess technology, is being updated, and it's the heart center that is the profound carrier and mediator of this world of matter and the world of spirit. And so the heart center, when I'm speaking of the Divine Feminine, I'm speaking of the heart center and many, many correspondences that go with the heart. but that until we access the wisdom of the heart, the knowledge of the heart, the frequency of the divine feminine and of the heart, we are on the wheel of the lower zodiac. In other words, we're on the karmic wheel. And that's what we're seeing right now. And most of what I'm seeing this past month, I've taken a lot of time to really observe and listen and look at everything that's going on in the political arena, in the social justice arena, in the social media, in everything, in the media itself. And we have an election coming up in the US, to really listen. And we'll be talking more about this, but what I see is that everything that is out there is on the wheel. It's in polarity and duality. There's a lot of polarization and divide, especially and in the US right now too, politically, with the right and the left. And there are and that's only growing. And I know what's going on in all of the movements and all of the truth movements and all of the, all of the different streams of intel that's coming in right now. And I'm going to go into what I'm seeing, because I believe that it's happening for a reason, but I also know that it's still on the wheel of polarity. And for many reasons, the frequency that these things are coming in at are still very, very divisive. And so let me just take a moment and see where exactly we're going to go right now. What's meant to really come in right now. We'll be talking about Mary Magdalene and her archetype and her embodiment. And she represents, to me, I've always seen Mary Magdalene as the solar feminine, and as Christos, Sophia, the feminine manifestation of the Christic light. And she's so special because she really shows us what the inner alchemy is, and that this is what light body yoga has been based on, is that in a very certain frequency in the divine feminine lineage, that it is up to each one of us to purify those levels of consciousness with our divine love and with truth, so that our whole consciousness vehicle becomes activated. She represented the full surrender of the soul in the underworld to the Christ as the Christ came in, the full casting out of the seven demons, which is the purification of the seven chakras, and the pure sacred union and marriage with the Christ force, which is the path of humanity. Mary Magdalene is us. And when I speak, sometimes I'll get a little pushback on the words divine feminine, but that's the language that I've always used, because it was the language that came to me very early on in my life. And I might say something about that, but that it was important to have that word, and that verbiage is important to have on the planet at this time. It holds a very sacred wisdom, and it activates an ancient memory. So it doesn't, it triggers people, and that's okay, because I had somebody once said, well, I'm a warrior, and so the word feminine, I'm a woman, doesn't fit me because I might not be considered feminine. But I'm not talking about, sometimes we're talking about the feminine qualities of the female form, and that's just a reality, that the female form does hold specific correspondences through motherhood, through creativity, through even through the emissive and the receptive energies. But what I'm really speaking of is the heart principle and the active light in the heart. And so we all bow to that principle, male, female, woman. I like to say, whether you're a warrior, whether you're a mother, whether you're an elder, whether you're an artist, whether you're a priestess, whether you're a maiden, whether you are a wisdom keeper, it makes no difference. Whether you see yourself as feminine, it's about being a carrier of the etheric heart and really activating that heart in this time. So let's see, we will talk about the message is that it's time for humans to wake up, and we're going to wake up. We really have no choice. We're at the end of this cycle. And what that means is we're at the end of the Kali Yuga, and we have a certain amount of time that we need to do this in. So there is a certain amount of pressure. We are working with a wisdom and intelligence even beyond our physical world. We have hierarchies of love and wisdom and intelligence of our brethren and our brothers and sisters that have gone on ahead of us. And then we have even greater, we have beyond our planetary hierarchies, we have the the galactic, for the solar system, the galaxy, and even the cosmic bodies of love that are communicating and working with a humanity right now to give us that divine impulse, so that we really, really activate from our nucleus the truth of who we are. So what's also happening alongside of that is that evil, and there is evil for sure. Evil is an energy, but when it becomes a conscious energy and a manipulative energy and an intentional energy, that's when it's really evil. And so evil works on this planet and in this human consciousness and in humanity through human consciousness. There has to be a link up and a connection with the human in order for evil to act, in order for it to execute itself and to carry out an agenda or plans. We have a very close relationship with how we are as a collective and what we are facing in some of the darkness that's coming up in the world. I did at the beginning of this year, I did a video called The Archetypes of 2020. And it's so, what I love about also Mary Magdalene's Day is 2-2. So we talked a lot about the double twos, the 2-2, the 2020 vision. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. And we talked about the archetype of 2 and the subconscious mind and the feminine energy that's rising up. And that's what's happening right now. Everything that's been buried, all the darkness, all the unresolved patterns, all the duality, all the masculine versus feminine, all the black versus white, right versus left, old versus young, all of this duality is coming up. And it's not, we're at the beginning of that. It's going to continue to play out. I believe this is the very beginning, and that major, massive changes are coming. We talked about all the activity in Capricorn and how the Saturn-Pluto conjunction really, really initiated a new cycle of healing in the patriarchal energies that are housed in Capricorn, and all of our systems, our governments, our institutions, our educational systems, our medical systems, our financial systems, our religious institutions, all of them are scrambling right now. And we're seeing things there's another something else that's happening, is that the veil is being lifted. Even in Hollywood, I've noticed that celebrities seem pretty vulnerable right now. A lot of them, and some of them are finding a new groove, but when you look at some of the videos they put out or some of their posts, you can almost see the veil is lifted, and that that power surge from the machine that is Hollywood, that is the entertainment industry, is weakened right now. It's being used on one hand to continue some messages, but it's not. We're seeing that human beings are being exposed now for who we really are, and it will continue to be that the vibration that we hold and the amount of wisdom will be the high currency, and divine love will be the ultimate currency. And the only function that will mean anything at this time is forgiveness. Meaning, forgiveness, I've been doing a lot of work with this, and actually I'll probably publish some writing on it. Forgiveness releases us from bondage. It releases us from the zodiac, the lower zodiac, and it gives us access to the heart. We oftentimes will call the heart 0 point. True forgiveness is it's the power, it's the divine power that opens divine love. And there's questions about, well, who do we forgive? I mean, there's obviously right and wrong in this dimension, and this is very true, and we just talked about how evil needs human consciousness. But the minute we forgive, the minute we forgive, we drop any access that evil could have to use us. But it has to be a real forgiveness, and maybe we'll just see if we can tune in. Real forgiveness is an allowing to have a new vision, and Capricorn is vision. And so when we forgive, we release the bondage of the old perception, and we begin to receive the divine light and the higher light of true knowledge. And that light is always trying to find us. It's always there. Our monad, which is our higher spiritual self, is looking for us so that it doesn't actually bother with us until we're ready. And so that's why initiations are so important for us, that we're going through lower initiations at this time. But it's not until we become the chalice that we're able to really receive the truth and that light. And it's bigger than we might think. And this I know, because it's been my work my whole life, that to actually become that requires such purity. Purity is a word that's not very valued in this world, but it means that your love principle has really, really come online, and you're balancing love and power, and you become, in fact, I did a video about this a lot when we talked about the law of love. It's a couple videos back, but you become a receiving vehicle of that light, and the soul is the divine soul is trying to take hold of us and use us. That is the most noble mission right now, because you're not going to find the mission activate from the outer world. The outer world can't tell you who you are. You can pay attention and learn a lot, and we can have our views. We have our views. I look at this side for this side has that quality. What do I like? What do I like? Well, truthfully, right now, I don't like what I'm hearing anywhere. I'm trying to even think. That's pretty, I'm trying to think if I have heard anything out there, meaning on the political platform, that sounds like it's coming from heart, and I just haven't yet. And if you have, please let me know in this video. Please let me know. I know there's people out there, so I don't want to be that definitive about it. There's good things. Put it this way. The hierarchies of intelligence use everyone, meaning whatever you've got, you will be used in the dismantling. So there are players on the field that may not have activated yet, but they are part of a group that may be being used to dismantle old systems. And so that's why we have to have compassion, because the systems will dismantle. And because we live in this 3D realm, it doesn't always turn out in a graceful way. Ideally, it would happen with love, but it just doesn't happen. We have elemental forces that are carnal and that are eruptive, and that's what we're seeing with the riots. So we'll just take a moment and use the riots that broke out and that are still happening very much so, to talk about these elemental energies that come from underneath. They come from underneath the dark, the shadow body, and the things that we're holding. And so the racial inequality in the United States, it's all over the world, and there's tribal, racial conflict everywhere, and there always has been. But we have a karma in the United States, absolutely, that we carry in the founding of this nation, and it's based on slavery, and it's based on the Native Americans. And even though we get different narratives about what actually happened, we know that there, especially with slavery, we know that slavery was a big fail for us. I mean, it was part of the shadow of the people's founding here that we're working out right now, and we're healing, and we're facing our karma for it. So like the Black Lives Matter and all of these things that are coming, and absolutely some of these things are being, there's always manipulation. with everything, with everything, with spirituality. There's manipulation with religion, with politics. We can't be in this realm and not have manipulation. So I know there's differing opinions on it, but it's coming up because the subconscious mind is rising, and all the polarity and duality is being, there's a reconciling that's happening. And so obviously it's really hard to see the violence and even the destruction of Black communities and businesses and some of it is just, it's hard to see because it's painful. It's painful to see destruction and things that seem unconscious, but there's also a lot of conscious protesting, and that is very, very important. What's happening is we're awakening the heart chakra in human, the heart chakra, and soon the throat chakra. The throat chakra will be a while, but those protests are part of activating even our higher guidance and the, you know, all the guardians and masters and ascended ones of this realm are knowing that that needs to happen, even if it's very uncomfortable, and even if it brings down the house. It was destined to happen, and it's a good thing that it's happening, because that's pent up, repressed feminine energy. And when I look at Black and white also, just because of some of the correspondences, I see the Black as the feminine. The Black is the womb and the darkness and the underworld. And I don't want to put those as definitive labels, but it's one of the correspondences that it's a strong voice of the feminine. And even some of the cultural lineage in the race goes into some of the deep, deep, highest culture of the feminine arts that were birthed on the planet through the Black race. And so this healing is long overdue, and it's going to continue, and it will be used. And so we have to stay conscious and stay in our heart. The way to have protection right now is to check in with yourself and be as pure as you can. Work through whatever voices in your head you have, old conversations, whatever prejudices you may have that you have to face and look at. Look, we hold ancient thought forms from our own genetic lineage. And so a lot of us are carrying things that we don't even know we have until they rise up. And when they rise up, we get to see them. And if there's no need, there's a lot of shaming in this world. And there's also, in fact, we're gonna move along because there's some other things I really want to talk about. There's nothing to be shameful for. Just sit with yourself. It's private. Sit with yourself and look at where you really are. What do I hold? A lot of times we want to see the good things and think, well, I'm really powerful here. I know what's going on here. We look out and we blame everything else. We almost always blame this politician or that movement or these dark forces or that for us. But the deeper we go into the deeper we go into our own lineage, the more we have forgiveness for ourselves. When we forgive ourselves, we begin to trust ourselves. And when we can trust ourselves, we can trust the world. When we can trust the world, the veils begin to lift. The veils lift, and we see a new world that is shimmering right underneath it. And it is there. Make no mistake, it's there. It's there right now. And we have to work through the things we're working through before that happens, but it's destined to happen. So destined to happen. So let me see if there's anything else I want to say about the rioting. There's all kinds of things we're going to face with the election and beyond. Speak the truth as you feel it. Don't be pushed into it, because in metaphysics and in the mysteries, and even in the lodges and the sacred secret societies, the real ones, it was known that you cannot force another human soul to think or do anything. That is really our sovereign free will, meaning if we think, a lot of times our ego is so self-righteous, we want to shame people, and that's what's been going on for the past 2 months. It's been just almost unbearable. Everybody's shaming everyone. Of course, people don't want to look at themselves, but it's easy to say, you shouldn't say that. That word is off limits. You know, shame, 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 and it gets us nowhere. That's on the wheel. Shame is on the wheel. If you're shaming or feeling shame, guess what? This is where you are. You're not in the center. The deep reflection of being, and I say I, as in I'm not in the center when I'm thinking that way, but the deep, deep reflection where we sit with and repent happens in the middle. It doesn't, we can't truly see real shame until we've come off that wheel of polarity and duality, and it's the periphery of the will. It's not the center where the power is. And so we have to come off that and go into the silence. You know, when the saying, when you pray, go into the silence and let no one see you. Look inside and see what's there. And that's where we repent. That's where we say, it's very valid to say, I'm sorry and I forgive myself. I ask for forgiveness, because it just has such a high frequency to when we, whatever version of that we say to ourselves, it's cleansing and nurturing. And then we start a new day fresh and we can deal with everything that comes along. It's so empowering. It's just absolutely amazing. We're meant to be creative and forgiving right now. Forgiveness abolishes time. It abolishes time. When we forgive, well, that's why it's 0 point, but the time construct, which is part of the feminine, which requires situations to go through the linear, dissolves and things are healed. It's like in A Course in Miracles, there are no difficulty in miracles, or everything is now the holy instant, which, by the way, I'm going to be bringing some of that in. There's some really powerful archetypal wisdom that happens in A Course in Miracles. And I will actually have a lot to say about that. It's really coming in at this time in a very hot, in even a more heightened way. And it really blends with the divine feminine wisdom, even though it has 0 feminine energy in it, or not energy, but language in it. And I'll speak to that later. So it speaks of the Holy Spirit, but it's called He. And so, but I will speak to that later. But forgiveness dissolves time. If we need to make a change, start with forgiveness. It's the only function. And that's why the Christ teachings and the, it's so funny. I just got an email asking if I'm okay. I've received a lot of those in the past couple of weeks. Thank you for, I tried to let everyone know that I am okay, and I've been okay, but I'll tell you more about that later. That's why the Christ teachings were about forgiveness. The Christ is forgiveness. And the Course in Miracles too talks all about forgiveness. It's very, very powerful. It even activates our word. We don't speak the truth until we've forgiven. And there's a lot that can be said about that. So I'm just going to go into a few more things. I'll make this video shorter, and then I will be back soon on YouTube. Hopefully I get everything figured out with camera, internet. It just wasn't not working today, and I'll do a live stream. I look forward to connecting with you. Let me know in the comments what you've been up to. I know it's been hard. It's been a really hard time. A lot of people are dying. I've heard of so many people dying. A lot of older people are just disillusioned with what's happening on. I know happening on the world stage. I know when I talk to my parents and many other people that are older, it is such a different reality. And we have to be really sensitive with each other, because we're going to be going through a lot more, and we need to be really loving and compassionate. We need to take care of ourselves. Step back when you need to. Take the rest and rejuvenate and get clear. Don't listen to too much of what's going on. The outer voices are on the wheel. They're all about duality and divisiveness, even the ones that claim to be bringing light and truth. The language gets so ugly that it's no offense, no judgment, but at a certain point you have to understand that frequency could not come in like that. There are certain functions that are taking place in, let's say, different movements, different, military, different governmental systems, but they're being used because that's what we've got right now. That's what we've got. The divine feminine is bringing in the next army, and it's an army of divine love. And it's the heart. And so once we have more and more people who show up with that, the other stuff will have served its purpose, and it will have to bow to that, because there's another chapter coming. And it's going to be the most beautiful thing that we've ever seen. And so I've been talking a lot about the mother consciousness, the mother archetype. And Magdalene is connected to the mother archetype as her creative force, because anything that creates and births is mother energy. But we also have the energy of the Mother Mary archetype and Isis, and the archetype of Cancer, the sign of Cancer. We just had the transit of the North Node, which left Cancer in May, but we just had our first 2 new moons in one sign this past month. We had 2 Cancer new moons. We just had the Cancer new moon on the 20th, and then we had one a while back, right after the summer solstice. It was a solar eclipse. A lot of Cancer energy is on now. If you feel that mother energy is coming in, first of all, it's only mother energy that will save this world. This is what I want to say. Mother energy is what's going to save the world, because the mother has birthed everyone on this planet. And I've talked a lot about this, and I will continue to, and it does trigger people at some time. I've even had guys on my channel leave or, unsubscribe or whatever, because they didn't like hearing this. But there is a certain function of the mother energy because of the birthing of the human race. From the highest archetype of mother energy. And I believe I've been able to experience that. It was part of my destiny to get to have that in this lifetime, that the love that you have for your child is truly divine love. In the healed mother archetype, we have mother wounding all over the place on the planet, but the mother creates this child within her being, sort of the seed of the father, and there is a love that is so pure. I talked about this in a video called The Return of the Cosmic Mother. And it was when the North Node entered the sign of Cancer. The mother, I remember after I gave birth, I was in shock for like a week, because this Shakti energy came into my body. And and I've had that in other situations, but this was mother, because everywhere I went, and I've said this before, I thought everyone was my child. I mean, like, I was like, wow, I'm the mother of everyone. I had that kind of love for everyone. And it wasn't a love that had to be expressed or worn on the sleeve, but my heart could feel it. And it was so divine. I remember thinking, if everybody knew this, everybody's divine. Everybody. It's like a mother loves her child, even when the child is absolutely off, even when the child absolutely fails. It wouldn't matter if the child was the most beautiful specimen, super intelligent, super wise, super spiritual, super, successful in worldly success, or if it was a child, and I like cry thinking about this, because the love is the same, or if it was a child that had failed at this lifetime in raising the consciousness, but perhaps was a criminal of some type, or had hurt people, or had ended up in prison, which so many have in our world. The love of the mother never leaves. That cord of the love that goes out to that child is as strong. And if the child dies, there's been a lot of that too. It's heartbreaking. Because that bond is so strong. And they say that the bond a mother has with the child, even more so than the father, never leaves throughout eternity. So when we birth a child, that child will travel with us in some circle. The karma that we have with that never ends, which is pretty deep thing to say, but I've experienced that myself in my own looking inward in meditation. So the mother energy is going to be the teacher of this next chapter. And so it's very, very powerful. The other thing that's been coming to me that I'm going to say is that community, the only way to heal, and first of all, the whole racial, expression of inequality and injustice that's being expressed is also, it's meant to be touched by the mother energy. And actually, I call any women right now that have this energy activated within to step up and step into this, because this is the kind of guidance we're going to need right now, and people are going to be looking to this energy. It's like at a certain point, everyone's going to want to bow to the mother and just say, what should we do? I see this wisdom, this council of grandmothers coming in and ruling the planet right now. I mean, we've heard of that archetype, but meaning is especially in the feminine vehicle that goes through certain initiations in form, and by going through those initiations become very humble, very wise, and very much attuned to the inner. And so I believe there will be, and I'm sure we'll have a council of grandfathers too, but, and a council of all expressions, but I'm pretty certain that that's going to be something that steps up soon. If not after we get to the other side. There's a lot coming when we get to the other side, by the way. This is only stage one, and I'm not sure how long it will go on for, the whole kind of disruption of the geopolitical, our technology, the control factors. We have the dark. So the dark, let's look at the dark forces really quick before we move into the last part. The dark forces are real. There's an interdimensional dark forces. There's planetary dark forces. I have a very specific way that I look at them archetypally that's been revealed to me, and how we have birthed them and now they rule us, and how they are directly related to the feminine, divine feminine creative principle. Nevertheless, it makes no difference how you feel about, there's everything from aliens of all different varieties to interdimensional dark to underworld dark to demonic. It's whatever it is for you, to shadow creatures, to it, all of it bows to the mother. All of it. Now, there is a war going on that attacks the mother in this realm, but it doesn't matter. When you embody the true mother, all of those energies, you have the say. We have the say. And so we just haven't been able to bring that energy in. And so Magdalene is all about this. It's about the harmonizing and purifying of these layers of consciousness as we go up, and there's many more. And it's not something that we can fake. It's not a fake it till you make it kind of situation. It's a real situation. So it's best right now to also seek inward guidance, and with earnestly. And if you find rulership, or not rulership, there will be spiritual rulership at a certain point coming in, and that could be triggering. I don't want to, that needs to be clarified a bit, but meaning there will be wisdom. There will be, when we get to the other side. But if you find guidance in a spiritual community or with a spiritual teacher, and there's some really good ones out there, that you can bow to that teacher in faith and trust, knowing you're not giving your power away. If it feeds you, and if that soul has wisdom, and you will find the one that's right for you, you can bow to that. And I don't mean bow as in like give up all your power. I mean honor and learn from, because all kinds of levels of people that have worked ahead, that have spent their life doing this work or that work, will be able to hold space for those that you're reaching your hand out to them and helping them. Doesn't mean the work can be done for you, but we're going to need community. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. We're going to need community, and we're going to need touch. We're going to need people who listen to us and who cry with us and who help reorganize with us. And so those kinds of groups are going to be really powerful. And people who have a consistent voice. Those who have, there's a lot of polarity coming. The I love you, I hate you, the borderline stuff is really on right now. People love you one day, and the next day it's a back and forth kind of situation. It's because everyone's working through their polarity right now and trying to figure out where they are. But once we come into the center, that begins to become a consistent, our words and actions align, and there's a lot less fluctuation, and certainly a lot less polarity. And so when you can find someone that has tapped into that and can be a source, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. We're going to need that. A lot of newbies are going to be looking for people to just help them to understand what's happening as things change from this perspective, not necessarily from the political perspective. So the mother consciousness, this is what I wanted to say, the mother knows community. You know, when I see the world and I look at the poverty and I look at the situation and the enforced poverty, the enforced racial enslavement has been quite intentional, and this is coming from my perspective, but it has been intentional through politics, through money, through finance, through the systems. It is systemic, and it has made sure that there's a perpetual repetition of a certain pattern that never gets to go to the next level in many situations. And so that also reflects our lack of goddess culture and the voice of the goddess to take care of your community, and that any politician or anyone in service needs to truly care about their communities. And you know, I look at there's someone like Bill Gates, and I'm from Seattle, so I know a lot about Seattle, and I went to school in Seattle, and I love that city. I bartended in Seattle. I went to you know, acting school in Seattle before I went to New York City, and I was born in Washington State, so I love the city of Seattle. And a couple years back, my sister, who had also lived in Seattle, sent me a video of what was happening in Seattle with the you know, the tent towns and the homeless situation and how huge it is. And I hadn't been there in years, and I couldn't believe it. I was in shock to see downtown, to see certain areas overrun with drug use, with poverty, and with homelessness. And I can't help but think, and I'm not, this isn't to be a judgment, but we look at like someone like Bill Gates, who's, you know, pure Seattle. And you think, my first thought was, why? So he's got this world thing going on, and I know all about, you know, some of the narratives on all of that. I'm very familiar with it, with his work and his agendas and all of that. But I look at him, and I know anyway, I don't want to be divisive. I don't want to get too into this, and thought, why not help clean up Seattle in a real way? It would take so little financially. I mean, come on, we all know that to cure hunger, to cure poverty, to cure the world, we have enough money 1 billion times over. We have enough food 1 million times over. We have enough resources to stabilize certain conditions. Why not, if you live there and you're one of the most wealthy people on the planet, why not clean that up? This is what I want to say. The mother consciousness always takes care of her own household first, because she knows that what she's putting into the world will carry the signature of her own efforts. It will be the fruit of her tree. And so it would make no sense for a mother, and I know I've been a mother, to not feed the child in her own home, but go off on some sexy like campaign to like feed the kids over here or heal the world over here, when the children in her own home that she's birthed are going hungry and degenerating into pain and suffering, which in turn creates a psyche that is not healthy and whole. Now, obviously, we all go through our lessons in life, but that is the idea. That's goddess culture, understanding that you do have to take care of your own backyard. You do have to make sure that it's bright and shining where you live, and that on this planet, and this, I could go on and on about this, but on every block, we talk about I've been working with human trafficking issues for a long time, and some of the dark rituals around children and some of the culture around that's all rampant in the planet and on the planet. But I've been shown that is only possible because on every block, in every community, in every 10 people, you're going to get a surprisingly high number of people. I know this because I work one-on-one with people for the past 15 years. It's the most common thing in the world, who have been violated, who have been abused physically, verbally, or who have suffered from complete breakdown in the family that they grew up in. And so healing those things is really where it all begins, because we can accuse the elite of this and that and this and that, but I can tell you those things are happening in the average household in very, very high numbers. And so we want to point the finger and we want to say it's the dark forces doing it, but this is what I want to say, and this is Magdalene. We have to look at our own consciousness. We have to purify. We can't purify others until we've done the work ourselves. We get to a certain level and then we help those who vibrate at that level. Then we get initiated into the next level and we help people who are vibrating at that level. And we always get both the light and dark side of our own vibration. That's our sphere that comes in. But if you see it on the outer, check yourself on the inner for it. And discover power, because that's power. We think power is calling out something outside of ourselves. Power is checking ourselves. And that's like the president is an example. So there's the president of the United States right now who is has a lot of huge following that are following him. Even people who are not likely that are following the current president believe that this president is out to, establish a new kind of truth and honesty in the American politics, and clear out some of the ruling forces that have had the stronghold on American democracy for a long time, which is only evident to almost everybody. So, but the thing is that you can't invest everything in that, because that person also has a lot of growing that they will be doing, and they're serving a purpose right now for that in that way. But everybody has a lot of growing. There's every politician in Washington has a lot of growing to do, and I haven't seen. There are a few, and I believe it was John Lewis that just passed away, and I did some reading on him, and I did not know him personally, or I didn't have a strong connection with his work. Unfortunately, I hadn't been that introduced to him, but I did a lot of reading on him, and had a true spirit. And you see those kinds of people in politics, but they're rare. But that true spirit is what we need. We need more children being, that have that desire to serve, that have true spirit and true heart. So that kind of purification. So then you'll see the president speaking. And then I saw a couple, I've been following things recently, really keeping a close eye, and the words are so revealing of what's happening on the inside. And so, and it's obvious that there's been also a lot of challenges, and that goes without saying for those people who are supportive in that field. And then there's the other side of people who absolutely positively believe that this is the very worst thing that ever happened, and that don't subscribe to that idea. And I know this can be divisive. I'm not trying to actually say one or the other is good, because I believe they're both part of this whole plan, and I believe the corruption is everywhere. It's throughout. Corruption, it is like a net around this planet. It literally is. We are in the grips of an evil force that is on earth. And I say that knowing that there's also the pure light is in all of our hearts. But what's happening right now is that the energies that are trying to get us to ascend are doing the best they can to help the impulses grow within this web of us facing the lower astral entities that we've created. So we, as human generators and creators, which we are, we create everything, and we create these nightmarish situations and energies that then mirror themselves to us. And I talked about this in the archetypes of 2020. If you go back to it at the beginning of the year, we talked about the rise of the subconscious. It's our underbelly. And so the underbelly is so deep right now. We're in it pretty heavily. And so that's happening. Is there anything else to be said about politics right now? There is a vote coming up. There is an election in the US. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of, there's a lot of chaos right now. And the chaos means we're on the wheel. It's trying to work itself out, but it's not. It will probably continue on in a very serious way. So that's what's always been shared on the inner, that would go through this time and it wouldn't be easy. But we still have to live our life in beauty and truth every day. In fact, more than ever, every day now, I try to make every little ritual I have, whether it's brushing my teeth, whether it's having a morning glass of hot water, whether it's preparing food or going to the gym or doing yoga or sitting down to write or meditate, and or sitting outside and just soaking up the rays of nature, to do everything with consciousness and love. Everything as if the world is a Garden of Eden. And so regardless of what's happening, find that space in your own heart and in your own surroundings, and your vibration will continue to grow, and you'll continue to receive the truth about what you're meant to be doing and how you're meant to serve in this world. Now, some people are, I have a lot of clients that are activists. I've worked with a lot of people who are in these movements and doing things very quite vocally and active. And I think it's great. Everybody's going to go where they're meant to go. We receive the impulse, and it's our own higher self that's pushing us. But the most noble impulses are those that wake us up, and those come when we're ready. The real wake up is the future of planet Earth. It's the new Earth. And so it's very important. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Gemini, North Node in Gemini, anchor in the truth. Let me see if there's anything else. We talked about evil. Evil needs human consciousness. I mean, the things that are happening right now are absolutely absurd and crazy. It's heartbreaking, but I've been through all the news in the past few days, and we're seeing things that are horrible. That is evil finding an operative vehicle and using it, and it's crazy. And then there's all the manipulation and the mind programs and all of that are running. You can avoid that and stay protected by doing some of the things we talked about. Just really forgive and stay in love, and look for what activity you're meant to carry out that will assist at this time, that feels right to you. And love, sacred relationship is very powerful right now, because that is a great alchemizer. And being a parent as well, working in spiritual communities, being creative, offering your services, anything where you work with people, where you have the opportunity to touch hearts and activate divine love, is pure gold at this time. Stay with that. That is the truth. That is the truth. It's the only truth. When the veil lifts, I just wrote something about that. Divine love is the only truth. And I'm telling you, when I have these longer periods of going in and just getting to be in that space, you can't believe that every human being doesn't understand that it's there, because that is the place where we regenerate and where we have the power to face what's happening with a smile on our face and with love, and to roll up our sleeves and do the work, but to do it very happily, and knowing that that is the outcome, knowing that that's the outcome. So yeah, the lunar consciousness, the lunar astral, which is 2-2, which is 2 is the number of the moon. The lunar astral consciousness, which is the level of human consciousness right now. When we say the soul's in the underworld, we're in the underbelly of the lunar. We're on the dark side of the moon, where all the entities are flying around. All of our thought forms realize themselves. It's a very active level, the lunar, but it's being spiritualized right now. Spirit will spiritualize that, transmute it, purify it, and begin to raise it up. And this is the great mystery of awakening and ascending. But that's happening right now. But when you see the polarity, you're seeing a lunar consciousness. You're seeing the light side and the dark side going at it. And so the most important thing, and I'll start to close, is that we have to decide how much we will participate in that. There's a lot of shaming around that, but trust me, when you come into your power, no one's going to shame you for anything. No, nobody's going to shame you. When you're centered in love, it's like you're going to give it out. And also the thing is you can take it. You can take it because you're seeing from a different vantage point. And so you at one sign, I'm not talking about egoism or narcissism, but when you really come into the heart, people don't offend you. That's the greatest thing about it, is people can say things to you that might have been hurtful. I mean, you're probably not going to attract a lot of it unless your heart energy is triggering, but it no longer has that charge or that ability to completely throw you off. Now, sometimes things need to jolt us a bit because there's something that needs our attention, and that's another matter. It doesn't always mean that that's bad, but for the most part, being in this level helps us to see and just have a good laugh and keep going and keep working and keep loving. So let's talk about Gemini, and then because the North Node is in Gemini, and then I'll close out. Gemini actually, and I see this archetype with Magdalene a lot too, because it's the masculine and feminine merging, but it's the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And it has to do with what we merge with. Once we merge with something, we log into it. So if you take a concept, or if you take a message that's being given to you and it gets you and you log into it, you've started it. You've started the process. You started the merging. That's the sign of Gemini. Gemini is the mind, it's communication, technology. Mercury rules Gemini. Mercury is very slippery and also very competitive and very can be deceitful and manipulative. So the energies that we're in right now, the North Node will be in Gemini for the next year and a half. More deception can sneak in through this North Node than any other North Node. I mean, maybe Scorpio. Maybe I'm like, I don't know. Gemini is information. So right now, the information that we're getting, and also technology, it governs technology as well. So Aquarius does too, but we'll talk a little bit about that. The deception is high, and people's minds are scrambled. So people are willing to believe it too. It's surprising sometimes. Sometimes I'm surprised when I see people, like what people, but then I try to not be surprised and be surprised at myself. Because there's so much deception happening. It's in plain sight. It's in plain sight everywhere. The agenda and the unconscious activity and the evil activity that's trying to seize and work through human consciousness. So the mind is very sacred right now, and we'll look at how we can activate that. Media, elections, global crises, pandemic, the riots, anything that can be used as a tool to accelerate that will be used. So the things that are going on, but how they're presented, there's always the nature of this lower world with our carnal desire is that money and power always wants to seize in on it because it can. Manipulating the mind is very easy. You could be put under mind control within 60 seconds and your whole perception would shift. Very easily. We do it all the time when we look at ads, when we listen to media. When the minute we hear something and log into it, a process starts within us and we make it real. So this is going to be on. This is the time of that, bigger than it ever has. I saw it. I remember talking about it in the Goddess Report in May, talking about the Gemini energy. In fact, I think it was around the Gemini new moon, and then the North Node had just entered Gemini. But in Sagittarius is alchemy. Its South Node will be in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is alchemy, but it's also how we've misused wisdom, how we've misused the courts and justice, how we've misused religion, how we've misused and misunderstood our different cultural relationships with one another. in the South Node, that's going to bring all of that up. We're seeing it already. It just came on right away. So I think I'll begin to close. Let's just see if there's the activation for Mary Magdalene is to come into your own temple, your own body temple, your own temple of light, and your own temple of consciousness, which is 2, and to just begin to love yourself. Check in with yourself and see how much you're blocking yourself from feeling the love that you have for yourself. You have to love yourself first. Each one of us, we have to see how sacred we are. I love this mudra too. I feel like it's such a good mudra for the heart. It's a hand mudra. But just begin to scan your 7 portals along your chakra, spinal column, your chakra system within the body, so the 7 majors, and just begin to see those centers. I'm seeing the heart really, really lit up. And begin to just be open to healing what you need to heal. It's a lot of the lower chakras are the problem right now, and then merging, taking it from the solar plexus into the heart is a big one. There's some big implants in that area, which we talk about in light body yoga a lot. We work really powerfully in that area. But then there's the underside of the heart as well. We have the lower heart energies. So this is all healing. We need to heal these. And so as Magdalene did, begin to receive the spirit and the light, and this divine light, this divine Christic light, that will stimulate your awareness of what wants to be seen and healed. The part of being seen is the hard part, because right now we're in that part with humanity. Everything's being seen and felt, and it's not pleasant to look at. So when we start our own spiritual awakening, at first it's like so glorious, and then you go a couple years, and then as you're being prepared for initiation, more and more of your own underbelly comes up. It's hard. It's hard work, because it's the last place we want to look. Blame creates time. Blame is the creatrix of time. The second we look outward and blame, we're in time. The second we forgive and go inward, we open up a new perception. And so that's why it's so hard to see ourselves, but it's the greatest thing we can ever do. And this past month, I've spent time looking very, very deeply, and I know myself what a great journey that is, because it seems like it's never going to end. But the further we go, the more the last hidden parts come up to be cleared, which is a blessing. It's such a blessing. This is a time for that to happen. And leading up to Lionsgate portal, this portal with Magdalene, huge. I always see Lionsgate portal really starting at the summer solstice, and this year we had the solar eclipse at the summer solstice, and then Magdalene feast day kicks it off powerfully, and then we proceed up to we have a Leo new moon coming, or do we have a Leo new moon? Wait, I can't remember. I'm sorry, the math is, yep, we'll have a Leo new moon, I believe, before. So allowing this Christic light, this Christ force, to come in and do what it did for Magdalene, remove those, to purify those 7 centers, and raise the soul from the underworld into the higher solar feminine principle. It's truly, truly the beginning of our building of our temple of light. And so I will continue on with this work in some of the videos to come. Let's finish with I am. And just to seal the beginning stages of this temple, if you're doing it with me and repeating after me, we'll activate the 7 directions. I am before me. I am behind me. I am at my left. I am at my right. I am above me. I am below me. I am unto me. When you are ready, on your next inhale, take a deep, deep breath in and hold it. Squeezing in, it builds up some pranic force under your solar plexus, which is powerful, and then exhale it all out. And we activate the three planes. Sometimes we seal it, but let's activate it today. I am, I am, I know, I am. I am, I am, I know. I'm wishing you all the blessings in the world. This Mary Magdalene activation and divine feminine activation is good any day of the year. Beyond this day, I'm going to make a couple of announcements, see how long this went. I have no idea. What do I want to say? I have, it's a little ways off, but at the end, for those who are interested, at the end of August, I have a new level that I'm going to be offering. It's my very first truly professional level 3-month group mentoring course, and it's just absolutely amazing. I'm having so much fun putting it together. I've taught all of the courses I've taught have been professional, but this is professional level, meaning the commitment is serious. It's a 3-month, 3-day a week mentorship that is loaded with wisdom, loaded. And so there's people who are going to be interested in this kind of work in the world. And so this is more along the lines for those people who are looking like for a professional level, for the work they're doing in the world, that really, really want to commit, that have the time to invest in it. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. I have the sales page, but I haven't put it up yet. The page that gives all the details and where you sign up. I'll maybe come back and put a link if I get that done in the next day or two on here, but I'll be sending it out in the Akashic Insight newsletter. And trying to think if there's anything else. I'll be doing live streams. I'm back. I'll be doing some on Facebook and Instagram too. So make sure to check out Art of the Feminine on Instagram. And I would love to hear your comments. And there was a whole bunch of people on for the live today, and it just didn't work out. So make sure and leave comments. If you would like to support the channel and the video, it would help. If I would be thrilled if you like it, if you share it, you give it a thumbs up, or leave comments. It's always good for the YouTube algorithm. So that being said, namaste, and I will see you soon.